Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Start Inspired. I am your host, Samantha March. Thank you so much for listening and also watching. If you are watching on YouTube, the podcast episodes are now also on my YouTube channel, which is by Samantha March. So you will see us every single week. By us, I mean me and my dog. She is snoozing in the chair behind me, but as always, she is with me and she is excited to jump into this week's episode. So for this week, when I was thinking about what it was that I wanted to talk about, I was looking at the Instagram account for my brand, which again is by Samantha March, and I had just posted something on, and I had just posted a post on my micro wins so far for 2023. And the more I looked at that, I was like, actually, I kind of really want to talk about this in a podcast episode, because sometimes I feel like I can be someone who doesn't look at things as a big win unless it's a big win. And especially in the past, I have tended to gloss over the really small victories. And from what I hear from other people, I think a lot of you do as well. So I thought this episode would be good. I can go through my personal micro wins throughout the year. Maybe something that I'm saying will spark something in you to think, hey, wait, I accomplished something similar. Or just hopefully as you're listening or watching, you think of some of your micro wins throughout the year and you remember to celebrate all the big things, but also all the small things, everything in between. Because I think so many of us don't give ourselves enough credit for everything that we go through. And sometimes I think, especially as women, we just, like, society dictates that we don't get credit for everything we do. Like, I'm literally thinking about like Rihanna and the halftime show and people being like, I could do a better job. And I'm like, yo, if I was whatever she was, 5 months pregnant or whatever, not that long after giving birth, I'd be like, kind of the last thing I want to do is sing and dance on a stage in front of millions of people, but like, okay. But I just feel like sometimes women, we're just expected to do it all, and we're expected to do it all with a smile and all of those things. And so we're just kind of trained that way, and our minds are trained that way. So we don't stop to give ourselves enough credit. So that is what we are going to be talking about this week. Of course, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. This is actually my second YouTube channel that the podcast videos go up on. This is a channel that I started in 2023, and all of my videos are based around healthy habits and inspired living. The last video that I did was my spring refresh routine. And then the next one, I want to be checking in on my April goals as we get about halfway through the month, and just kind of going through my goals, which I talked about in the last podcast episode. So I kind of wanted to be a follow-up to that, and how I'm doing and what I am achieving through them. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you enjoy the podcast, leaving reviews are always so helpful, of course, like on Apple Podcasts. And you can do star ratings if you are listening on Spotify as well. I am also struggling with allergies, so my voice isn't the best. I actually wanted to film this podcast episode the day before, but my allergies were so bad I had to run out to Target today and grab me some Claritin. But it's 94 degrees in Las Vegas. Allergy season is here. And yeah, we're just gonna push through it, probably with a few sniffles. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this post that I did so we can get into my micro wins. And of course, I would love to hear what you think some of your wins throughout the year are. Leave them in the comments. You can always get in touch with me on Instagram as well. Again, it is by Samantha March. But one of my micro wins that I put down was I decreased blue light before bed. This was something that I was really trying to focus on, especially after getting my adrenal PCOS diagnosis. So it was November of 2022 that I finally was able to get a diagnosis of what had been going on with me for almost a year. I started feeling quite sick in around November of 2021, and went almost a full year of trying to find help, trying to find a doctor, running lab tests, doing elimination diets, trying to figure out what was going on with my body and why I was so sick all of the time. And adrenal PCOS is brought on by stress. So I also have adrenal fatigue, which is caused by high levels of stress, and my cortisol levels, my stress levels were off the charts high. I'm very curious because I'm planning to get my labs redone in June. So we're getting close to that because that'll be a year since I had my labs drawn. So I'm going to be very curious if I was able to lower them at all. I really don't know. I do have a pretty stressful job, and just everything that I've been through over the last couple of years, divorce, move, infertility, starting a business, all of that, I feel like really contributed to my stress levels being so high. But as I looked more into PCOS and especially on lowering stress levels, one thing that I kept seeing over and over again was quality and quantity sleep, which that is something that is recommended health-wise over and over again for so many other conditions as well. And I have never been a great sleeper. I have said in my YouTube videos throughout the years that I just don't sleep well. I have problems falling asleep. I have problems staying asleep. I remember like when I was married, if me and my ex-husband would go to bed at the same time, he'd be asleep within like 10 minutes and I'd be staring at the ceiling for an hour. I would try like counting sheep. I tried listening to music. I would like listen to podcasts, TV shows, all of the things. And I just really struggled with sleeping. And so I was like, okay, how do I sleep better? How do I improve this? I don't know. And one thing that I kept seeing, again, repeatedly, was decreasing your blue light before you try to sleep. Using either blue light blockers for your phone or glasses, or just not being on your screens at all, not having the TV on. And I will say that I'm not much of a TV person. The only TV I have in my apartment is in my bedroom. And I did that because I used to fall asleep to the TV at night. That's what I found would help me. I'd put on like an episode of Friends, something that was like comforting to me, something that I knew, something that like I knew those episodes like the back of my hand. So I wasn't staying up being like, I wonder what's gonna happen next. Like I know what's gonna happen. They were on a break, like we all know. And so I felt like that was what helped me fall asleep, because it almost helped like calm my mind, because my mind is always, you know, going 1,000 miles a minute. And so that's what I found was helping me. So when I moved to Las Vegas, I didn't really feel like I needed a TV in my living room. I just got one for my bedroom for when I wanted to watch TV to fall asleep. And then I'll say like for a while there, I wasn't even doing that. If sports are on, I'm a big sports fan. I love football. We're into baseball season now. Go Cubs. Like, you know, I would turn on things like games or ESPN. But then after a while, I started to get back into it, and I started to watch shows on like Netflix and Hulu. And that's what I would do at night, because to me, I went back to, this is a way that I can relax before going to sleep. Because another big goal of mine was to try to relax more and do more self-care. And to me, I was like, oh, that could mean putting a show on at night and just relaxing to it. But then what I was doing was having a ton of blue light or even falling asleep to TV, which doesn't help you fall into a deep sleep pattern. So you're not sleeping as well. And so I decided to try to cut it out. And like everything that I do and so many things that I recommend, you start slowly. So I would say like, oh, it's fine on the weekends if I watch TV, but during the week, I want to do at least 2 days where I don't watch TV at night. And it doesn't have to be 2 consecutive days, just 2 days out of the week. And then I moved it to 3, and then I moved it to 4. And then pretty soon I was doing the full week, no TV, just on weekends. And then sometimes on the weekends I wasn't. As humans, I think we get into routines so quickly. So even though there was nights that I didn't necessarily even want to watch TV, there wasn't like a show that I was really drawn to. I just didn't really feel like it. Because I had gotten into that routine, I was like, oh, this is just part of my night routine. This is part of my self-care routine. I need to turn the TV on. And like, I get what I was doing. I get my positive outlook that I had for this will at least help me relax. But I wasn't necessarily filling it with the best thing that I could do. Is it the worst thing that I could do? Sure, no. But was it the best thing that I could be doing? No, probably not. So I was like, I need to switch this with something that is better for me. And for me, I chose reading at night. And I don't even want to read off my Kindle, which my Kindle is everywhere with me. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll post like photos like, you know, around the house or like a skincare mask I'm using. And there's always my Kindle in the background. And I never even noticed it until people would start to comment to say, I love that your Kindle is in every photo. Your Kindle's always photobombing your pictures. And I'm like, that's funny. But I carry my Kindle everywhere with me. I read a lot off of this. But one of my goals for 2023 was to read more nonfiction books, and I really wanted to read those in a paperback form. If I want to highlight something, if I want to, you know, dog ear the photos, if I want to go back, I can flip to sections more easily. So that was just a goal of mine. But for me, it's hard around the house to read a paperback book. Like I walk and read. I eat and read. I read all of the time. I'm also a book blogger, so I'm always reading so I can review books on my blog. So it's just easier for me to use my Kindle. But for me, the paperback at night, it's one less screen that I'm getting rid of. And it's just that like cozy feeling. You're cozied up in bed, reading a book. I've already done my journaling. And it just kind of helps quiet my mind a little bit too before bed. And so getting into that routine has basically eliminated TV for me at night. As the time that I'm filming this, I'm trying to think of the last time that I turned the TV on. It was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I am watching a documentary on Hulu. And so I think maybe it was like a Friday or Saturday night. I wasn't doing anything and I was like, I'll watch this. I watched it for a little bit and then I went into my gratitude practice, which I do every single night. And then I went into reading, which I am just about finished with In the Flow. It looks like I just have a few pages left of that book. So that is what I've been doing. And I think that it really helped decrease my blue light before bed, and also putting my phone in a different room. I charge it in my bathroom instead of having it next to me in the bedroom. And that helps me to not be scrolling. Another micro win is cutting down on excess sugar and refined sugar. This has been a big goal of mine. I've talked about it in a lot of different places. Again, kind of going into the adrenal PCOS diagnosis, but also just better health in general. One thing that I've been concerned about for a long time has been how much sugar I consume. And I have said with a complete straight face for years that I felt like I've had a sugar addiction. And, you know, I think with my health struggles, it really just gave me that motivation. I'm someone who has always been more health conscious, and I'm very motivated by health. We're all motivated in different ways. I'm very motivated by health. And so when I'm working with my doctor and I'm reading about things that I can do, basically everything is also saying, cut down on refined sugar, cut down on excessive sugar. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that was my biggest challenge for me. I remember when I did the elimination diet for 30 days, I cut out things like sugar, caffeine, alcohol, dairy, gluten. I cut out anything. I'd done a food sensitivity test, so I cut out things I was highly sensitive to, coffee, blueberries, and I felt really good after those 30 days. And I think doing that helped me over time, because I did that elimination diet in August of 2022. I think doing that over time, it helped me still be able to reduce that sugar intake. It's really hard doing things cold turkey, and it's not always the easiest for everybody. For me, it was like, you just have 30 days of this, like you're finding out answers. Again, I'm motivated by health. So that's what I just had to keep telling myself. But then I think that definitely helped me cut down, because also during that time, and really before I started the elimination diet, I was already looking at different recipes of what I could be doing and what I could be making instead. You know, I got rid of anything in my house, ice cream, candy, things that would be really easy for me to like grab and snack on. Got rid of those, and during those 30 days, I was making all my meals, I was making all of my snacks, I was finding better for me recipes, and a lot of those I really enjoyed, and I continued to keep on doing them. And so that really helped me. And then once again in December, I decided to just do a 10-day cleanse. And I just did no caffeine, alcohol, or excessive sugar. Made all of my meals at home, focused on fitness, did things like the steam room, different things like that. And once again, I felt really great. So taking these kind of smaller steps has helped me scale back and scale back and scale back. I am not completely refined sugar free, but during the week and being at home, I pretty much am, you know. So if on a weekend my friend's like, hey, you want to go to the Sorry Not Sorry Creamery in Las Vegas, which is my favorite, I'm like, yes, I do. Or like, do I want to go out to eat with friends? Yes, I do. But because I try to follow like the 80-20 rule set, 80%, you know, I'm a little bit more focused on what I'm consuming, what I'm eating, what I'm bringing into my body. And then the other 20% is like, let's live. Let's live. It helps me not have those guilty feelings. So I definitely have made huge strides in sugar, and now I can actually tell when I do consume large amounts of sugar, I can tell that I don't feel as good, and that to me is a very motivating factor. So doing all of that work of really cleansing my body as much as I can of that excessive sugar, I think you need to do it for like 3 to 6 months or something to like really like reset, which I have not done. But even just those little bits that I did, I think really did help. And I love all of the different options that I found. Like just earlier, I made these raspberry chia seed bites. It was just mashed up raspberries, chia seeds, a little bit of honey, formed them into little balls, put them in the freezer. I melted down my sugar-free chocolate chips, put them in there, put them back in the freezer, and those are the snacks I'm having. Whereas before, I'm eating an entire box of Bunch of Crunch. I'm eating a whole Kit Kat bar. I'm eating, you know, 5 scoops of ice cream and that sort of thing. And that's just what I'm doing here at my house. And then I'm going, you know, out with my friends on the weekends or things like that. So I have made huge strides in that arena. All right, next up, I have increased early nights in. And I definitely have. I am still working on perfecting my night routine. I talked about this somewhere. I'm trying to think of where I talked about it in. It might have been, I ran a community challenge in March, and I think maybe it was for that. And that I mentioned that, I don't know, maybe it was my April Goals podcast. I think probably I talked about them in both, but how my night routine can kind of be the first one to go because I get so busy. I stay in my office so late. You know, I have a home office. I stay in here so late, and then I'm like, I want to get to bed because I'm trying to get good quality sleep, all the things. So my night routine can definitely fall by the wayside, but I truly think a big factor that helps keeping a night routine and keeping more quality sleep and quantity sleep is being home earlier. I'm someone who say like, I struggle with FOMO. I always want to be doing what my friends are doing, and I live in a very exciting city. There's always something to do here. Like, that's one thing I love about Las Vegas is there is literally always something to do. Or if you don't want to do anything, you don't have to do anything, but there is always something to do here. And sometimes I have a hard time saying no. And even if it's just going to my friend's house for dinner and then they're like, oh, let's stay up and chat and everything. I'm like, no, like I gotta get going, gotta do my night routine, gotta put my magnesium serum stick on and journal and read my book and all of that. But it's, again, I can tell how much better I feel when I get to have that peace and quiet and really that wind down part of my night routine. I can tell a difference in my body. I can tell a difference in my energy levels. And that is definitely something that motivates me. So there's some nights, like the other night, my girlfriends messaged me and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Like we have a bar restaurant at the complex that I live in. So it's very easy to do like social gatherings. They're like, hey, we're going up there. And I was like, I just ate dinner and I'm sitting with my legs up the wall listening to a podcast. And I was like, you know what, I'm good. I'm gonna stick with this tonight. So I think having nights where I like focus on healthy habits, like I ate a really good dinner, I did legs up the wall, drinking tea, I went for a walk, and getting into that routine, it really makes me want to keep going with it. I'm like, you know what? No, I don't really want to go somewhere where I might be out later, or I don't really, it's very rare for me to drink like during the week, and everyone just kind of knows that about me. So I never really feel like pressured to like drink alcohol like during the week or anything like that. But it's like, oh, like maybe I'd want like a glass of wine or something. To me, like it's not worth it. Like just keep doing your thing at home. So I think I've definitely improved increasing my early nights in. Another micro win is more solo dates. And this was something I really didn't start focusing on until 2022, I'm gonna say. And I think it was really just hearing other people talk about it, like other podcasts talk about it, and other YouTube videos talk about solo dates. And I was like, wait, I really love this idea. You know, I was in a partnership for 15 years, so a lot of date nights were reserved for me and my ex-husband. And then moving here, I was able to make a lot of new friends right away. So a lot of times when I go out with friends. And I tend to think like, oh, if I want solo time, I can do it here at my apartment, and I can enjoy a good shower and make my own food and read a book and sit outside or things like that, which is all great and all things that I want to do. But there's something very different and fun about taking yourself out. I like to do it for lunch quite a bit. There's a certain sushi spot that I like that's close to here, and I just go, take my Kindle with me. I just go and I order whatever sushi I want, and I just hang out by myself, and sometimes I read, sometimes I work a little bit on my phone, of course, sometimes I just hang out. But it's just a nice retreat because you're still like, you're getting out there. It's just by yourself, and you can do whatever you want. You can sit there for however long you want. You can order whatever you want. You can eat as fast as slow as you want. You don't have to share your food with anybody. You don't have anybody to share the check with, but you don't have to share your food with anybody, okay? So I love me a good solo date, and it's something that I really want to do more of as well in 2023. But another micro win is investing regularly in my Roth IRA. And it's so funny, the day that I'm filming this, I actually just made another contribution to my Roth IRA. This is something that I did not know about until fairly recently, like until just a few years ago. I didn't know that you should be contributing because this wasn't something that we were taught in school, wasn't something I was taught in college, wasn't something that I had anybody let me know. I actually read it in a book. It was called Smart Women Finish First. Smart Women Finish Rich. So I can link it in the show notes and in the YouTube description. And I remember reading that section and being like, what? Because I had a Roth IRA and nothing was happening. I wasn't contributing to it. I wasn't investing that money anywhere. Literally nothing was happening for years since I rolled it from my traditional job to when I went to self-employment. I at least knew that I should open a Roth IRA. I just didn't know what to do next. So now for the past 2 years at least, if not 3 years, I think it's been the last 2 years because I believe that was in 2020. So in 2021 and in 2022, I maxed out my Roth IRA. I will do the same thing in 2023. It looks like the contribution max for this year was $6,500. So I just set a plan of monthly how much I want to contribute until I get to that $6,500. And there we go. So contributing to my Roth IRA, I'm really glad that I am on a good schedule with that. And this will be, again, my 3rd year in a row maxing that out. Another micro win that I put on here was taking time off. This has always been the biggest struggle of mine. If you have followed me on any of my platforms for a few years, I talk about no days off. I used to be very proud of it. So I started this career when I was 21. And obviously when you're 21, life looks a lot different. Your energy levels look a lot different. You can stay up until 3 a.m. and not be as phased about it the next day. You can live off McDonald's, Red Bull, and whatever else. But definitely over the years, I have understood how important it is to take time off. 2020 really showed that to me. I really struggled in 2020, not just because of COVID and the pandemic, which was hard enough, but that's when I was going through fertility treatments, which is so incredibly hard on the body and the mind. My marriage was starting to like really fall apart. My career wasn't where I wanted it to be, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know if I should keep going. And when I finally started to actually let myself time off, I realized it was basically helping me reset myself. And once I started to understand that, like when I was like, you know what, even if I just take the morning off and I just don't do anything, or I just go for a walk with my dog, or I go sit in the park with my dog, it had me more energized to complete activities that I needed to get done in the afternoon. And then I would take a whole day off, which is like, a whole day off? I mean, of course, I'm like looking at Instagram and YouTube. I always say like, yeah, I take time off, but as a content creator who works on the internet, you can be working all the time. So, but I would realize that taking time off was more energizing me, because obviously the body needs breaks. It's why we sleep every night. The body needs to be able to have a break and to reset. So with me trying to go hard every single day for years, for over a decade of working this just fast-paced, always-on lifestyle, I mean, was just leading me to burnout and then also to health struggles. And so being able to take time off is something that I am putting a lot of focus into. And I try to have one day a week. It's usually a Saturday or a Sunday, where I also really try to stay off my phone as much as I can, or at least out of my DMs, not feeling the pressure to look at comments, not feeling the pressure to post anything. Like sometimes I don't post any YouTube videos or an Instagram post, and it's like, okay, you can take off a day and everything will be fine, and just try to live like a normal human being today. Like I look around me and I see my friends that take time off. Like yesterday was the day after Easter, so a bunch of people didn't have to work for their corporate jobs and people were at the pool, and I was like, I want to be at the pool, that sounds fun. But I couldn't. I had a lot of work that I had to get done. I have some exciting things coming up and I just couldn't take time off. So, but I wanted to be better at having a more balanced schedule, so I can be able to take that one day off a week and then be able to take more time, whether it be a morning or an afternoon, but to really be able to take more time off. So that is definitely a big focus of mine this year. And then the final micro win that I had was relaunching this podcast. The Start Inspired podcast went on hiatus for 2 years. It's 2 years exactly. And I really wanted to bring it back, and it's been so great to see the response. I really like being able to put it on YouTube as well. If you want to, if you're like, if you're more visual, or even if you just are someone who watches YouTube every single day and you like to have things in the background. That's what I hear a lot for if you're cleaning or cooking, you like to put something on, but maybe you're not necessarily like a Spotify or an Apple Podcast kind of girl, and you like to do it through YouTube. Now they have their own podcast section, and you don't have to worry about if I'm holding anything up, like in my beauty videos, like I'm holding things up and showing products and showing swatches or looks. It really is just me chatting with you. So I've been really happy that we have the addition of the YouTube videos as well, and I hope that you're enjoying it. But I really loved this podcast when I first started it, and it really gave me another outlet to be able to talk about things that I'm really passionate about, that I felt like I wasn't sure where to put them, because my YouTube channel, my main channel, is primarily focused on beauty, as is my Instagram. My TikTok is just like a hodgepodge of everything that I do. And then this podcast, and now my second YouTube channel, is where I really can talk about healthy habits, which is what inspires me so much, which is what I created my brand about. And it's just what I love talking to others about and connecting with other like-minded people. So I hope that you have been enjoying listening to the podcast, or maybe even watching the podcast. Again, reviews or sharing, even if you share it somewhere like on Instagram, like if you tag me in the stories or the posts, I would love to be able to reshare. Anything like that is always so helpful. Leaving comments, of course, subscribing to the YouTube channels, super helpful as well. But we are back with weekly episodes, and of course I'd love to know if there's anything that you want to hear about during these episodes as well. That always helps me out, and I put information in the show notes and also in the YouTube description box of where you can get a hold of me and everything like that. But those are my micro wins for 2023, and like I said, I would love to hear some of yours. And all of these small wins, I feel like, help lead up to bigger and bigger wins, but we always have to remember to celebrate the small as well. So don't forget that. Applaud for yourself, pat yourself on the back, all of those good things. Reward yourself, take yourself out, maybe have a solo date, go to bed early one night. And I hope hearing some of these helped you out and made you reflect on your own wins in 2023. But thank you so much for listening to another episode of Start Inspired, and until the next one, bye. Did you snore the whole time? It's okay, I'm not judging you. I was just asking, it was just a question.